Today I'm going to teach you how to spool up your spinning reel. In other words, how to put line onto your spinning reel or egg beater reel from scratch. This is a video that I've been asked to make by a few people. Yet they're going mad! Finally! A few people have asked me to make a video on how to set up your spinning reel for trout or light fishing. So here it is. Trout opening is next weekend here in Victoria, Saturday the 2nd of September. So I want to put some new line on my reel for the new season so that I'm ready to go when the season opens. I'm going to keep this as basic as I can because there's no need to make things complicated when they don't need to be. Firstly, I'm using Maxima Ultra Green 4-pound line. This is my very favourite line for trout and redfin fishing. 4-pound is a good size. It's not too thick, not too thin. I have used 2-pound in the past and I found a little bit, had a tendency to tangle a bit more, and 6-pound is a bit heavier and just it hinders casting distance a bit. 4-pound is my favourite. A lot of people prefer light braided line, and that's fine. The best line you can use for this is the line that you prefer, and in my case I prefer Maxima Ultra Green in 4-pound for a number of reasons. So without any further ado, I'm going to get the line, I'm going to get the spool, I'm just going to throw it over there somewhere to roll around. Now there's quite a number of ways you can do this, but this is the way that suits me the best. This is how I do it. I get the end of the line and I thread it backwards down through the eyes or the runners on my rod. Just I tell you what folks, I just turned 42 last month. And I think a visit to the optometrist isn't too far away because I'm struggling to see where I'm putting my line. I'm having trouble getting it in the hole. It's not a, that's a problem I'm quite familiar with. But anyway, I'm getting it down through. Righto. Now I've got it through all the runners. Now I've got to attach it to the reel. This is very important. When you get to this stage, you have to open your bail as if you're going to cast and then tie the line. If you tie it on there, when you go to turn the reel to put the line on, that's not going to work. So I'll open the bail and I'll tie the line on. There we go. Now there's no special knot for that. You don't have to use anything special. You can see there I've just used whatever that's taken to get that to stick onto the spool. Now this is critically important. This is the most important tip in the video. If you are planning to spool up with braided line or any other type of braided line or fusion line or anything like that, I highly suggest either you put a little bit of tape on the spool to stop the line slipping, or you put maybe 10 or 15 meters of monofilament line underneath, because braid will slip, and what will happen, you'll tie the line on, you'll spool up, the moment you get a little bit of tension on your line, as you reel, the spool will slip inside the reel. With monofilament, it will grip the spool. Braid won't. So if you are using braid, it's very, very, very important that you put, you know, a few rolls of monofilament line underneath. But I'm not using braid, I'm using mono, and I'm using Maxima Ultra Green. It doesn't matter that the tail on my knot is about 2 inches long because it will get flattened down. Now, what I'm going to do is put the rod on my hip like this. I'm going to hold the line up there, about 50 centimetres or so up from the reel, 30, 40, 50 centimetres, doesn't matter. And then I'm just going to reel it in. And that's all there is to it. I am keeping the tension on the line between my thumb and my finger and the reel. That's keeping the even tension on in this area here. What happens up there is pretty much irrelevant. Sometimes it can wrap around the end of the rod and cause a little bit of a loop, and that's fine. When that happens, you just stop and untangle it and keep going. I will put as much of this line on here now as I possibly can. Rightio, there we go. See that? Look how full that is. you'll notice I haven't overfilled it. A mistake that a lot of people make is they put too much line on, and what that does, when you cast, the line continues to peel off the end of the spool or off the end of the reel, and that will cause you quite a lot of problems. It's very, very important that you don't put too much line on. And something I like to do is just have one lot of line. You will have noticed in this video that I've tied this line to the spool and I've got one continuous piece of line. Some people will say you should use backing. I hate backing, because when you use backing, you've got to tie a knot between the backing and the line. And what that means is you have a knot in the reel. So as your line gets down, as you lose line when you get snagged or when you change lures and whatnot, as the line gets down, it becomes more likely to tangle up on the knot between the backing and the line. At the moment, the only knot on that line is the knot that I've used to tie to the spool. So there it is, it's ready to rock and roll. What I'll do now is I'll grab my line up here, I'll break that, that's ready to go. I'll tie a lure on and I am spooled up, ready for the new trout season when it opens next weekend. Just quickly before I go, I know a lot of people are going to ask exactly what I'm using. This is my main trout weapon of choice. This is a Shimano CI4 Stratic. It's old, it's dirty, it's a couple of years old, but it still does a really good job. That is the 2500 size. It's the CI4 Plus. They're worth about $300. They're quite an expensive reel, but they're a very, very good little reel. 6-to-1 gear ratio, quite smooth. I've had this one for 2 or 3 years now and it's going great guns. That's my favourite reel for trout fishing, the Shimano CI4 Stratic. And the rod I'm using is a wild bait stick. You can find them at www.wildbait.com.au. I'm not sure whether that's picking that up or not. If I put my hand there it will. That's a wild bait stick. I love my wild bait rod. It's 1 to 6 grams, 2 to 4 kilograms, 1.8 meters. It's a great all-rounder. It's not too long for the little streams, and it's not too short when you're in the bigger waterways. This is a deadly combo. I've been using it for the last few years, and I'm looking forward to catching plenty more trout in it this coming season.